All right, welcome back to a conversation with Ryan Ciminelli. We did a couple episodes, so we'll do another episode and maybe change directions a little bit. Uh, you know, as a professional athlete, you're under a lot of stress and a lot of pressure before, and then I think the whole world kind of got to see what that can mean for professional athletes and the fact that Simone Biles did what she did. So like, I mean, maybe let's talk a little bit about that, man. Let's talk a little bit about what that means and what that meant to you as a professional athlete.
So, you don't love to see something like that, obviously. But what I love is that she stood up for herself. I love that there's being light shed on the topic, and more athletes are more open about it. Forgot which golfer was talking about it, but Michael Phelps is a big one as well that has been really talking about his journey and his therapy and what he's gone through. And we had our little Q&A with Creating the Difference last night, and speaking to them briefly about my anxiety and what I dealt with trying to support a family and pay the bills doing it, and how stressful it is trying to make a living doing what I do, and pretty much making the jump to a salary job when I didn't really have another option. Those are not decisions that an athlete wants to take. Those are not decisions that are easy. It's painful to let go of your dream. It's not something that we take lightly. You think that Simone trained her entire life and is the best and won all the medals she did win because she's a quitter? Because that's what people are calling her.
Right.
These ignorant people are calling her a quitter. To hear that, it just goes through me like nails on a chalkboard. A quitter? You don't have a clue the sacrifices that these athletes go through to get to where they're at. You think if she felt like there was any other answer, that she would have backed out? She knew that she had to do that for herself. And I can relate to a point, but I can't relate to the point that she's throwing her body around in midair, flipping around in circles. Like if her mind is off and she strays to thinking about whatever in the midair, like, and she falls and breaks her neck and is paralyzed, like, that's a real possibility. And these people just forget that she's a human, and she backed out. She's a quitter. She quit on her country, on her team. Shame on her. Oh my God, it's painful. I mean, if I could just talk to these people, it would be bad, because the things that I would say to people that have the nerve to say that, whether they've actually thought it through and actually believe that, or if it's just pure ignorance, frankly, I don't care which it is. It's upsetting either way. It's not right. And like I said, the best part about it and what's going on is the shedding of light on the mental part of sports and the toll it takes on athletes to get to where we're at and do what we do for a living. And any athlete that feels the need to back away, to retire, to quit, to whatever you want to call it, for their own well-being and their own mental health, hats off to them. Get right. If it's forever, if it's for a year. I mean, some people may think that I quit. I don't know. Some people may not know the story. They don't know my life and the ins and outs. They may have thought I quit. They could think what they want, but I'll tell you what, having that year off has really reset my brain and allowed me to get back to a place mentally where I feel good in my own skin. I'm calm. I don't feel tense all the time. Like, I can feel it in my muscles. Like, that feeling I dread. Having to be on a medication and taking Xanax in triggered moments that I never used to. Like traveling overseas never bothered me. Bowling on TV never bothered me. But anxiety from that stress has gotten into other parts of my life to where I don't want to get on a plane and fly over the pond. And I got to take a pill to do it because I get so sick that I can't eat for a week. And it's so unhealthy. A lot of people don't know that even before I understood that it was anxiety, I didn't know what was going on. I got a little bug in Japan, bowling the Japan Cup, and coming back, I was a little sick. But they have different bacterias over there, and usually when you go over there, almost everyone gets sick for a day or two, and then you're fine. Well, coming back, that happened, and although it's pretty typical, and I know that, with how I felt and knowing, okay, well, I had Korean barbecue, raw meats everywhere. I saw flies flying around on the meat before we cooked it. Like, it's not sanitary. So here I am, and I'm sick on the plane on the way home, laying next to Parker. Got upgraded to first class. Thank God I got to lay down because I felt real bad. Cold sweats like crazy. They almost didn't let me on the plane. And I got home, and here I am. Now it induced a panic attack. Now I'm flying overseas, an uncomfortable thing for me. I'm sick, an uncomfortable thing for me. Induces a panic attack that I don't even know is a panic attack at the time. I didn't, doctors are telling me I'm healthy, nothing's wrong. Well, why is this and this happening? And all I'm being told is you're perfectly healthy. And I get home and I can't shake it. So the cold sweats are gone, and I'm healthy again, and I can't get out of bed. I have no energy. I can't eat my favorite foods. My appetite is like, food's disgusting to me. And anxiety affects everyone differently, of course, but for me, that's what it is. And so obviously it's fatigue, but on top of the fatigue and your body just wanting to shut down, and you add in not being able to eat to gain any energy, I was bedridden for 2 weeks pretty much. And I couldn't get out of bed. I lost almost 20 pounds in 2 weeks. And I had to withdraw from the TOC that following week in Oklahoma because I just couldn't do it. Those are the things that people with anxiety and depression deal with. And add in being an athlete and trying to perform at a level like that on top of that, people just forget that you're human and that we all go through those things, and it's scary.
Yeah, I think with the whole Simone situation, it's really a lesson for not only people and athletes, but like I saw a lot on Facebook, like a lot of these little girls look up to her who are gymnasts, and these people saying that she's a quitter and it's not someone to look up to, but in reality, those people should be teaching lessons to their kids that are like, your mental health is super important. Like, if you are constantly going and you're the face, I mean,
Of an entire sport.
yeah,
For a country.
everyone will admit that she's the face of
Absolutely.
the United States gymnastics. Like, I get her doing that. If she needs a break, everybody needs a break. I mean, it's not only the best people in the world, but every single person. If they get to a point where their mental health is struggling, then it's the people that are behind you that need to say, hey, you should step off. And I can guarantee you that her coaches had some sort of say in that. They communicated, and I can guarantee you that
Because
they
in the past,
understood.
I mean, in the past, it was very taboo to talk about mental health. And so, like, if you didn't sack up, you were failing everybody, and you were failing yourself, and you were a quitter, and I mean, we've seen it in the Olympics with a gymnast. I can't even remember her name now. I'm drawing a blank.
No,
but
I know
the
talking
ankle,
about
the ankle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she broke her ankle.
Yeah, well, that sent her into retirement. Okay,
Yeah.
so we praised her at the time because what she did was insane.
Yeah.
But looking back on it, you can there's audio of her coach screaming at her, "Shake it off, get back on there. We got one more. You gotta go," instead of saying, "How are you physically? How bad is it? Can you even walk? Should we do this?" He's not supporting her mental and physical health. He's pushing her beyond a human's limits, and it sent her right into retirement. Okay, she was great that day, but guess what?
That was it.
Now her career's over.
Yeah, that's it. That wasn't even the only time that it happened. I remember reading a couple of stories like that where it happened with other sports or
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
other Olympic sports where the people were basically pushed too far and ultimately that ended their career.
Yep. I think it was. I read something about like it might have been a Russian.
Russian, yeah.
Russian.
She like broke her leg and it wasn't
It
healed
wasn't
all
healed,
the way.
and
Right.
they forced her out of her
And-
cast to train. That's what it is.
And
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure she passed away pretty early in her life.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, what happened was, from what I read, and true or not, I don't know. What I read was that they forced her out of the cast to train. She didn't get all the way around on a flip or something because of the lack of strength in her leg, and ended up breaking her back, and she was quadriplegic.
Yeah.
Can't even say that word. And died at like 46 years old.
Yeah.
So her career ended,
and
and
she
she's
lost her life.
paralyzed, and
Yeah.
she died way too young because some trainer pushed her beyond a human's limits. And there's not like this isn't plastered all over the news all the time about what's going on and what these athletes have to deal with.
It's a different. I mean, the good thing about people like Simone and people that are doing things about mental health is that they're bringing that awareness, and that awareness matters a lot because, like you said, a lot of times people don't even realize that they may have anxiety or that they have these things going on. I can tell you, even just for me personally, like going through the trials and tribulations of trying to help, get a company going, you develop
Absolutely.
anxiety. You develop
Absolutely.
these things that you don't necessarily realize. I was telling one of my friends the other day, I was like, I love doing what I do, but you have to find a way to disconnect. You have to find a way to step back, because if you don't, it'll wear you out. And I know me and Dustin were talking about this the other day. He was like, yeah. I told him before, I said, I'm going on this little vacation. And I said, I'm going to completely disconnect. And I said, I know I'm at that spot because I don't like what I'm doing anymore. I don't like answering the questions. I don't like talking to my friends. I don't like, I just, and it isn't them.
Happens to the best of us.
It is me.
100%.
So, I go on my little vacation or whatever, and man, that was a great vacation. Thank you, Billy. Anyway, it was a great time anyway. And I come back and I'm refreshed. I'm ready to do it again. I'm answering questions. I'm ready to go. And then I asked Dustin, and I said, "How you doing?" He's like, "I need a break.
It's my turn.
I need a break. I need a break." And I get it. I fully get it. So obviously I support him in taking a break. And when he takes a break, it's like cut your phone off, put your notifications on mute, go have fun, because you gotta get that refresh. It is so important. It is as important to get that break or that refresh or whatever you want to call it as it is training. If you do not figure out a way to disconnect, and you lose that drive or that passion, or you get angry or you get depressed or you get mentally messed up, that can derail or destroy everything.
Yeah, what I've noticed, I'm gonna get personal here, and I'm gonna say something that my wife may not even want others to know, but I'm transparent and I don't hide anything. I've learned a lot from her about the symptoms and why we get the way we get, and the events in our lives that take us down those roads that rewire our brains to be the way we are. And not having that time to disconnect turns into disassociation. And what was happening for me, not having that and having all that anxiety and stress and constantly thinking about what I need to do to support the family, whether it be bowling and how I could make more money doing it, what I needed to change, or if I needed to change jobs and find a salary job, and I couldn't shut it off. And so what I started to do was I was disassociating at the wrong times where I'm with my family and I need to be present for my boys, and I need to be there and be present and just be a father and be a husband. And here I am disassociating, and I'm just completely checked out, and I have no control over it. Like, I'm just not there. And so I'm ignoring, I'm annoyed and irritated easily. Like, it's just not you. And it was because I didn't have those opportunities to just disconnect and just go turn it off and have fun and go on a vacation, whatever it is that you need to do to have that time. I wasn't getting it, and I was constantly in that heightened anxiety, stressful state of mind. And so the only way that my body was allowing me to stop was to literally shut off. My brain would shut off, and I would disassociate. So I couldn't hear. I wasn't ignoring. I couldn't hear. I couldn't hear my son crying, because as soon as it flips that trigger and he's screaming, I'm already at that brink, because I'm so stressed out and so full of anxiety that as soon as he's screaming and crying, he could have fallen and hurt himself, and I'm checked out. Like, I don't hear it. So I'm not there being a father. I'm not there being the dad and the husband that I need to be. And that's when it really hit me, and I'm like, changes need to be made. What do we have to do that this doesn't happen? Because it's not me. I really don't like it. And as soon as I'm checked back in, I feel awful. I feel guilty. I feel terrible about it. And that just adds to it.
Yeah.
And now it's like this
It's even worse.
snowball.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm a failure as a father. Like, what have I done? He's going to be scarred for life because dad wasn't there and I ignored him. And when she started explaining to me, and I started reading these books and just understanding myself and understanding how the brain works, and especially how a young brain works and how it develops, really, really opened my eyes to what I needed to do for myself and how I could allow myself to be there for my boys way better. And I think it only took, a week or two of reading these books and understanding before it was just completely different. And just making a conscious effort that's the way it needs to be, and you just got to be aware of that, because I think a lot of domestic violence and abuses and stuff like that could be because of that, because that's not just a human. Like, we're not violent. That is something that's developed from past traumas, from events that happened in your life where your brain is wired to think this is how things are. And if you're beat as a child, the chances are you're probably going to beat your kids. Like that. It's those events that make people the way they are. And the more mental health is brought to the light, and the more people are willing to accept that the way people are raised and the events that they go through have such an impact on who you become as a person. And it irks me a little bit to read a lot of the comments and memes and stuff on social media about, child abuse is like the lady's pointing her finger at her son, and that's child abuse now, but I was spanked as a kid and I was beat by a belt. I guarantee you have trauma now. And there's ways and things in your life that you do that you shouldn't because you were beat with a belt. So you can act all tough and high and mighty because you think your generation's all tough and whatever. But the way you were raised, if you were beaten with a belt, was wrong. It's not right. Because it wires the brain to think certain things are okay, and it wires the brain to be in these states of fight or flight way too often. So it could be as simple as, for me, again, I'm going to be completely transparent. You know, I was looked at as the punk kid, the spoiled, rotten punk kid, because I had an attitude on the lanes. All right, well, why did I have an attitude on the lanes? Well, both my parents had bad attitudes. So I knew that being mean and getting angry was how you dealt with frustration. That's all I knew. I could really go into depth with it, but the bottom line is I was trained at an early age to be in fight or flight, and as soon as I saw adversity, it was fight for me. It was get pissed off, it was hit things, it was throw things, and until recently, an understanding how the brain works and where I got that and why I am the way I am, you have to understand it before you can change it. So I'm making those changes, and they're slow because it's many, many years of being wired a certain way that you have to retrain. And I guarantee you that far more people have these things down subconscious that affect them daily that they don't even realize.
No, I think you're 100% right on that. I think the whole mental health thing is one of those things that you really gotta, like, you don't really get taught that anywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't get taught about mental health. They don't really teach you that in school, and
they sure should.
you don't learn about it in real life scenarios typically.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's something that you do have to, but you're 100% right about it being like you have to have the awareness that something is wrong or that something is different before you even can acknowledge the fact that you even have something going on.
Yeah, one of the biggest sentences that I read in one of the books was, "You can't do better if you don't know better."
Yeah.
And that stuck with me.
Yeah.
How like when my parents were raising me, and many parents of that generation, when mental health is not a thing and they only knew how they were raised and that's how they raised their kids and no one questioned it, they didn't know better. So how could they have done better?
Right.
And that's many, many of the parents in that generation. So I don't fault my parents for what they did. It's my responsibility to evolve and understand why I am the way I am and to make myself a better human being. That is not their job anymore. I'm a grown man. So and I'm not going to be perfect raising my kids, I promise. I've already made mistakes. But to be aware and to try to do better and actively and consciously make that effort every day is hopefully enough to not mess them up too bad.
Right. Yeah, I think I'm glad Simone did what she did, because I think it does shed a good light on mental health. I think people will step back and look at things a little bit differently, and I hope that hopefully that, you know, her actions helped somebody else that maybe was kind of at that similar type spot that didn't know which way to go and didn't know it was okay to say no.
Exactly.
I think that's really important. You know, it's really sad to me because where we live at, there was this really prominent businessman in the community, and he had all the money in the world, basically all the money in the world, could do whatever he wanted. Was really big into construction in the area, and a couple of days ago he killed himself. And I had some friends that I didn't know the man personally, but I had some friends that knew the man personally, and you know, just to kind of see their reactions and talk to them and listen to them talk about, man, you know, I don't understand. Or the one guy was like, you know, he wrote a letter to his kid. So he wrote a letter to his kid, gave the letter to his kid, told his kid, I'll, you know, read this later. Went to the site, ended his life. His kid finds out, you know, reads the letter, and then realizes what's going to happen. And it's just kind of too late or whatever. But it's like he was so depressed, and he saw no way out of the situation, to the point to where the only way he thought he could get out was to end his own life. And the thing about that is that not only, like, for that person, it's over. Like, there's no, like, that's it. But you impact all these other people around you in such dramatic and traumatizing and hurtful manner that ultimately you taking your own life can destroy other people's lives.
Absolutely.
Completely destroy them. And, you know, here I am. I'm completely removed from this guy. I don't know him. But I've got friends that know him. And I'm watching how it impacts them. Imagine how it impacts his family. Imagine how it impacts the son. They got the letter. You know, it's unbelievable.
That's why therapy is so important, because now that son, no matter his age, he needs therapy. You need to talk to someone about something like that, because if you don't, subconsciously, that could eat away in so many ways, where what could I have done, blaming himself, how did I not see it, could follow in the same steps, could go into depression. Like, there's so many possibilities now for the people around him that all should be seeing a therapist, because those events are the ones that we don't talk about, how they affect you, and people just, like, move on. Like, you can't just move on and say, yeah, I'll get over it eventually, and just let time heal the wound. That's not how it works. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, I think the hardest part about a lot of it is just admitting you have a problem. Like, if
You may not even know, though.
There's
Well,
definitely times where you don't even
right.
know.
But if you're in a state where you're not feeling right, I mean, there's always people to talk to, and there's resources that can help.
I think it's a good spot here in the video where you put up like a helpline.
Yeah.
There are helplines for people that
Yeah.
are looking for help. So I think it's a good
Yeah.
spot in the video where we can at least put that up there for people that, you know, if you need some help or you're kind of, you know, depressed or concerned. Because at the end of the day, like, everybody is here on Earth for a purpose, right? Everybody.
Yep.
And, you know, sometimes things may come up that may distract you or take you away or remove you from that purpose. But having communication, talking to people can help get it going back again if it needs to be. So, yeah, I mean, I think this mental health thing it's transcending sports. It's bigger than just sports because it's life.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, we got personal examples of that. We got professional examples of that. We got, you know, all these different things that all kind of tie back to this mental health thought process and understanding that if you're not okay, it's okay to say something about not being okay, and reaching out to somebody, whether it's a friend, a family, or even a professional, you know, whatever needs to happen to help get you back mentally where you need to be. Because, I mean, it doesn't matter whether you're going for a gold medal or going for your first title or trying to get a business going. Life is stressful.
Or going in for your 9 to 5, 40-hour
Or
week.
going in for your exactly.
I mean, we all have something.
Life is stressful. And I tell you something else. And one of my friends told this to me because it really kind of messed him up a little bit. And he said, you know what? He said, this guy had all the money in the world. He said he could do anything he wanted.
And he killed himself.
And he took his own life. And he said, you know, money doesn't make the problems go away. And in certain cases, and maybe even more times than not, money can exasperate the problems.
Yeah.
Because with the money comes the pressure. You know, the more money you make, the more pressure you get. So it's not necessarily all roses either. You know, it's never necessarily all roses. So you got to keep that in mind. And sometimes, I think when I specifically see hate, instead of wanting to throw that hate back at them, I'll go, well, maybe they're in such a bad spot that's why they're spewing out that hate.
Projection.
You know, I'm in a good spot. Maybe they're in a bad spot, and maybe that's why they're projecting it. So,
Yep.
you know, don't throw it back. You know, you don't have to throw it back. At the end of the day, people can say whatever they want about me or about our company or about whatever we're doing, but it's not necessarily what they say that matters. It's how I respond to that matters. And being in that fresh mind state, not being wore down and wore out.
And responding positively would not only affect you in a positive way, but it could affect them.
Exactly.
It could help them out.
Exactly.
And it is sometimes harder to do than said, but just making conscious efforts daily to be the best person you can be is not just going to make you feel good and make your life better, but it affects everyone around you.
And you think about that for a second. One of the most gratifying feelings, I think, just in general, is just knowing that you helped somebody else, whether that's personal, whether that's professional, whether that's your family, but just the ability to help somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So recognizing that is such an important thing, and it is very gratifying, we should continue to do and strive to do and always look to do more of that within our own abilities. Whatever that means, you know what I mean? Like, it's different for everybody.
It triggers our happy chemical, our feel-good chemical in our brains to do that. It's literally good for you to be a good person.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen it just on like a work level, just responding to people, and if they don't like what you have to say, unfortunately they're going to tell you. It might be profanity based, it might be a 3-paragraph long deal about how you're wrong and they're right. And unfortunately there's things that you agree to upon signing up for something that we ask you to abide by. And if you don't abide by and I let you know and you don't like it, that's fine. I don't need you to support me if you're going to be like that. There's moments and times where I feel like if you're in contact with someone that just isn't very nice, you just cut them off.
Negativity is contagious, and you just don't want it around.
Yeah.
Which is crazy too if you think about it, right? How come like you get like 20 positive things and you'll get like one negative thing, but the thing you're always hung up on
That's the one.
It's
is
the
the one
negative.
negative thing. Why is it that way? Like, why is it that way?
I wish I knew.
Yeah. I
You,
mean,
you can't like you can't. It's not like a piggy bank. You can't be like, well, I got 20 coins in my positive bank, and I got this one negative coin in the negative bank. So they put one of my positive ones out and delete the negative, and we're good. That's not how it works. You're like, I have this negative coin, and I don't like this negative coin, and this negative coin is messing up my whole day.
I don't know what to do with it.
Forget that I got 20 positives. I don't like this negative coin. Like,
Yeah.
I think same thing though. Like, you have to be conscious of that, and you have to remember that I got one negative coin, but I still got 20 positive coins, so it's okay. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
Now, that's not always true, because you have 20 negative coins and you got one positive coin, then you probably need to make some changes. Like, you need to be reevaluating what you're doing, because
Yeah.
that's not good. But and we've seen that happen too. I've seen situations where a video is made and then a whole lot of people don't like it, and then instead of being like, well, yeah, we got a lot of negative, maybe we should probably address that in a positive manner, I've seen people double down on the negative, which now instead of 20 negative coins, now you got 40. You know what I'm saying? And that's really, really bad. So you gotta kind of balance that out, I think, and keep it all in perspective. But at the end of the day, it's important to realize that there are people that are available to help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are people that are trained in helping people get over or develop or understand mental situations.
I'm not being biased. This is not a biased comment. I cannot tell you what it's done for me to have a wife that's a psychotherapist. It has kept me above water way too often, more than I care to admit. And I'm not one to believe. I didn't really believe in it. Until I started to open my mind and understand. I was one of those people because that's how I was raised. Suck it up, like, deal with it. That's life. That kind of mentality. Instead of, one of the phrases my wife always uses is peeling back the layers of the onion. So that top action or reaction or whatever in an event, in a moment in your life, that's the top layer. Why did you react that way? Why did you choose to do this? And you got to peel back all these layers and get all the way back to where the root is, and it could be all the way back in your childhood until you really figure out where it started. And I didn't believe in that. And the more light that's shed on it, it's really amazing how our brains work. Our brains are crazy. And thank God for my wife, man. I'll tell you what.
No doubt. No doubt.
Well, I think that's a good spot, man. That's a good spot to kind of take another break, and we'll do one more round of this.
For sure.
Cool.